What is happening, everybody, man? Thank you guys tuning in to another episode of the Expert Mentors Live podcast. And man, I'm really excited to dive in. As you guys know, the show is really about bringing real estate agents together and really being able to tap into their expertise and knowledge to really share back to the Honey Badger Nation community. And it's just an opportunity to really cut through the noise, the busy work, the overcomplication, and really get down to what is actually truly working in today's market. And, today's episode, man, I think it's one of the most critical components. Like, I even question why you have a real estate business if this is not a focus or at least a massive element of your business. And so really excited to be able to jump in today. And Jordan, welcome, brother.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And so, I want to jump right in with you. And I love how your story started and just that kind of, you mentioned, kind of default and fall into the industry. A lot of folks, that's just typically what happens, right? You came in as an investor, it makes sense, get my real estate license. But, 57 deals in a single year is massive. But then you throw in 57 deals in a year without a transaction coordinator. Oh, and by the way, this is my first year in real estate. What does that look like on the inside? Like, just kind of share so people can kind of get their head around 57 transactions in a year, no transaction coordinator. Oh, and by the way, this is my first year in the business.
Yeah, man. I mean, for sure. I think the little bit of the backstory there is, me and my wife got together when we were 19, met in high school sweethearts. And we really just had to scrap together. Like, we were getting her through nursing school. She was working while through nursing school. I was working 2 full-time jobs because we just had no money to rub together. And we were just, we both came from pretty broken backgrounds. So we wanted to be the change in our families. And, that takes deep sacrifice to be the one or to be the change. Right. And so, she was getting through nursing school, and I just knew college wasn't for me, but we had made an agreement that I would go to college once she graduated. And, any job I ever worked, I just couldn't get promoted. I tried so hard. I had such a growth mindset, but when you work in a lot of retail type jobs, or I was a butcher for 5 years, it's, a lot of negativity, a lot of scarcity mindset, a lot of just, I am what happens to me. I can't create my future, and more of a victim mentality instead of a victor mentality. And, when you're in that environment and you try to be the victor, unfortunately, the environment will always win if you allow it to. And I'm just so thankful. I was working at Costco, just, again, kind of in the same place, couldn't get promoted, was working like crazy to stand out and to be something. And I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, and it finally, for the first time in my life, really taught me how money works and what to do with money. I learned a lot of what not to do as a child. My mom and my stepdad had $100,000 in credit card debt for a long time. And to see the pain that they went through to just pay off their bills, and just to get ends meet, I just really knew what not to do. But for the first time actually hearing what to do, when I finally got that, dude, I'd been trying to get promoted for 7 years and giving it my all. And I think eventually when you're ready, God will open the door for you that you're actually meant to walk through. And dude, when he finally opened it, dude, I just slammed through it. And so, reading Rich Dad Poor Dad led me to Bigger Pockets, which is kind of like the Facebook of real estate investing, which then led me to going to a RIA meetup, Real Estate Investor Association meetup. Usually they're local, which is crazy because now I actually own that group. But that one group alone, I was just willing to put myself out there, be super hungry. Guys, I want to learn, I want to help, I want to add value, anything I can do. I was answering all the, anytime people had questions on the Facebook group, I was answering it, just trying to help. And this one lady approached me and she was like, "Hey man, you want to network?" And I was like, "I don't really know what networking is, but okay, I can get coffee with you." And she did. And she ran her own local property management company. They were managing about 300 doors by that time. She'd been in the business 20 years as a broker. And I was telling her what I was trying to do, be, a millionaire and change my family trees, make $100,000. I've never made 6 figures in my life. And she's like, "I think you have the perfect personality. I think you should get your real estate license." And I was like, well, I don't know what any of that means, but F it, let's do it. And so kind of by accident, because ultimately what I wanted was financial freedom and to build wealth and to be the change in my family, it led to me, by accident getting my real estate license. And then that first full calendar year, 2020, like I did 57 deals, sold a 100-unit apartment building. We started really blowing up the management company because Fort Wayne kind of became like a hotspot for investors because, there's just incredible metrics here from an investor perspective. But, I remember one month I had like 20 pending deals at once. And again, no transaction coordinator, never been self-employed before, no idea how to really manage a calendar or like admin tasks versus, sales tasks. And just the pressure that comes from that. And ultimately what it was it created a lot of chaos and stress. I think real estate transactions themselves create a lot of urgency and stress. And that's why I really loved, meeting Austin, because, he really helped me understand that brokerage sales ultimately is just urgency and stress. And you have to ask, how much of that do you want in your life? Right. And so I just realized there's a cost. Everything you say yes to, you're saying no to something else. And if you say yes to everything, your yes doesn't mean anything. And so I had to learn how to start saying no because, after that first year of having no balance at all or no like other areas of my life actively growing and, putting effort into those, I weighed the most I'd ever weighed in my entire life. My relationship was failing. And I had no social life at all outside of just like surface level business and transaction stuff. And, I think the metaphor that I learned from that was that you're always juggling the balls of your life. But you got to just really be honest, which ones are rubber and which ones are glass, because the ones when they're glass, if they fall and they shatter, like you're never going to put them back the same if you even can. Right. Yeah. And so that was a huge alignment and reprioritization. And, I think the pain of staying the same when it is greater than the pain of changing, right? Like everyone's heard that saying, but that definitely was a huge wake up call for me. And then I started getting around like local, awesome growth minded people. And that's where like things really started to shift for me. People that had the physical bodies that I wanted, they had the faith, with God that I wanted to have. And, it's just like how James Clear says, man, like, your willpower will always run out eventually. So design the environment to who you want to become. And part of that is just, surrounding yourself with the people that you admire to be like, and the traits that you want to aspire from. And so once I started building some leverage, like that's where, like having a TC in-house and my wife came into the business full time, which was just like a godsend because her and I are wired very, very differently. And I'm very like, big picture, like grab all these opportunities. And she's like, okay, but we have to maintain all this. Like, what the frick?
Her discernment kicks in. Yeah.
Her discernment has like been life-changing for me. And so, I think it's having a humility of when to say no to things is really important. Learning how to avoid people pleasing and really starting to do the deep internal work. Like I've probably in the last 7+ years of being an entrepreneur, like, we've probably invested like 200 grand at least in self-development over the years. And you're the greatest return on investment you'll ever make. And you don't get what you want, you attract what you are. So like, who are you really under the hood? Like the parts of you that you don't want to be seen, the parts that you don't love about yourself, right? Like, how are you working on those and healing those? Because those are the parts that show up when you really, you need the best of you to show up, right?
Yeah.
No, that was
Jordan,
a long-winded.
I love it. Thank you for kind of, giving us some context and setting the stage. I do want to ask this question because I see it so often and I see it even with people really close to me. And I'm all about leverage. You look at my working genius, tenacity is a frustration, which means that I've always have known that for me to excel at anything, I have to have great people around me, right? It's all about building a really, exceptional team around me to be able to accomplish anything. And you start to kind of understand that. So you build, for complement, but I see a lot of like just producers, just people that can just get things done, that hang on to things. And I'm wondering, because you had mentioned just kind of a mindset and an environment that you were in leading up to real estate was in a scarcity type of environment, type of scarcity mindset. Do you think some of that carried over into the real estate and is part of the reason why you're juggling and wearing all of the hats? You're hanging on to TC work, you're hanging on to things that, like, I mean, are just slowing you down and holding you back. Is it from a scarcity standpoint to let go, create leverage, hire people? Like, where was your mindset? And then what was the light switch that flipped that from scarcity to abundance?
Yeah, I think doing a lot of self-development seminars really helped me to see like what my money programs were. Like I realized that like I was in a lot of my life was stepping over dollars to pick up pennies. And yeah, I think to build any life of real significance, like, you know, if you're just spending all of your time on 5, 10, $15 an hour tasks, you're not going to build $1 million company, like, and even to this day, I'm not perfect at it. Like I definitely still get involved in things that really like could probably be handled by somebody else. But like, as an example, like I haven't mowed my own lawn in 8 years, 7 years now, I guess. We've had a house cleaner for the last 5 years. And it's not that I'm above doing any of those things, but it also gives me an opportunity for somebody else to have employment, to do the things that they love to do. And ultimately gain back time, which is our scarcest, most valuable asset and attention that I feel like is very undersold until later. Like we don't really feel the pain and the cost of, being wasteful of the time until it's too late or it's much later. And the perspective that comes from that's a lot heavier,
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, getting around other people that were really committed to growing was really helpful to me. And to be honest, like most of my career, I have not hung out with a lot of realtors. I would say specifically, a lot of agents, and my perception of a lot of agents, at least where I live, is, in the middle of the day, they'll just go drink with other agents or other people in the industry. And, they will just talk crap about clients or other people in the industry. And I just feel like it's such low level, non-productive time, like I've always personally enjoyed hanging out with more investors because they're trying to build wealth for their families. They're trying to become better and grow. And there's a lot of agents that do too, right? Like it's not a knock on agents. I'm a very involved agent myself. But I've learned to guard myself from just the people that I don't want to be like. Like I have no problem inspiring and showing people the way, right? But like if you want to just focus on the negatives always, that's all you're ever going to get. Like even Tony Robbins does it wonderfully. Like, whatever meaning you associate to things and the things that you focus on will become your reality.
Yeah. Whatever you look for, you'll always find. So right. Jordan, give us the pitch. Agents earning, even if you're not a real estate agent, you're a high earning individual in whatever path, whatever lane you're in, you already have really good income. However, why is it critical that you should build an investment portfolio on top of that?
Well, I can tell you this, just from owning investment properties, basically from the beginning. I mean, we scaled really quickly. We got from 0 to 39 doors in 2 years, which is crazy to think about, but we're at 55 now. I think your mindset really changes when you become an owner of things. Like it's the same thing from being a renter to being a homeowner, right? When you become an owner of something, and we live in a capitalist society, right? Like America is a capitalist society fundamentally. So really the only way you actually build wealth in our system is you have to become an owner, whether that's a business owner, an owner of investments like stocks, whatever. Like if you don't get in the game, you're never going to build wealth. Like, because the currency just goes down. And at the end of the day, like if you are producing money from agent sales, as an example, or even flips or wholesales, like those are treadmill activities, like there's slow money, like medium money and fast money, right? Like, and a lot of times, like if you only spend time in any one of those, it's going to cause issues, right? Like if you only spend time In fast money activities, that's where it's taxed the highest, so you'll keep less of it. And it's usually an urgent, active treadmill, right? And also the same if you only ever spend time on slow money activities. I'm sorry, but like owning rental properties is extremely expensive. And if you don't have some other source of income and you just want to live off the cash flow and you don't have hundreds and hundreds of doors, you're going to have a pretty hard life because, you might have 2 roofs and a furnace go out in 1 month, and that could be 30, 40 grand right there. And if you're just living off the cash flow, you're going to be living pretty scarce for a long time. Right. So I tell people, like, I think owning rental properties or investing in general is part of the whole picture, right? Like it's not the only picture, but it's an important one. Like I tell people, you're not going to live off your cash flow from your rental properties today, but if you screwed everything up over the next 10 to 20 years, and then you look back, like you will look like a genius, because over that time, the property will have paid itself down. It will have appreciated. And like you'll look like a genius. I mean, even with the properties we own now, like it's crazy to look at how quickly my net worth starts to go up more and more the longer we hold these properties.
Yeah.
So
it is wild. So you talked about the different buckets, the fast money, slow money, medium money. Like, how do you think about like time allocation, money allocation, to where you've got a good mix? Maybe what's the right, recipe or the right settings here on kind of the dials for this? Like where do they kind of need to be set that make the most sense that you've seen?
Well, I mean, one of the things that I try to do every year is optimize for tax strategy. Because like ideally, like we pay tax in so many ways. If I can avoid paying a lot of additional money annually, like at my tax return, like that's always a big win for me. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people, like if they make several $100,000 a year, like being a W-2 employee is actually the most expensive way to make money, right? Like whether we realize it or not, we are partners with the government financially. It's just, nobody ever talks about it. It's either you can be an active partner or you can be a passive partner in the relationship. As a passive partner, that's where you're a W-2 earner, where the government takes all of the money they want before you even get any. And the problem is most people think that, oh, well, I got a tax return this year. I got $3,000 back from the government. I got a refund check. And really, it's actually just a no interest loan that the government kept for that whole year, right? Versus if you're a business owner, self-employed, et cetera, which is what the tax code actually incentivizes, there you are the active partner. So you get to choose your write-offs and, the different strategies to optimize that. Because, like you're going to pay taxes in many ways throughout your life, sales, payroll, death tax. Like you're going to get taxed every time you spend money, when you receive money. So you got to learn how to play the game. And that does take some time. Really, like you got to first learn how to build that active income that's going to feed everything else is, I think, ultimately what I would lean to. If you don't have that avenue, whether it's real estate sales, flipping, fill in the blank, whatever that is, even your high income job, like if you don't have the strong income coming in, it's going to be pretty hard to fuel the rest of it. Right. So that's kind of what I, from a like time effort thing, it just really, I guess, depends on where you're at in your journey. Like if you're somebody who's aspiring to be an agent, has never made 6 figures in your life, like, which is what I used to be. I used to push shopping carts. Like, my first priority is not necessarily getting $200 a month in cash flow from a single family rental. It's how can I stop making $15 an hour and start making $100 an hour? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where I'm at in my business now, like I'm looking to focus more on larger deals. So get more out of doing all of the day-to-day selling that I do and go into doing higher level transactions and, like doing larger investment properties where they're going to move the needle way more. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I love that. So no, it's great. I love that. And it really kind of depends where you're at in the journey, kind of the season of business, season of life, but you gotta build the machine that's keeping the lights on, that keeps the cash flow coming. Right. Then, so it's always right things, right order. But back to kind of talking about the real estate agents and the real estate agents that you've seen, dealt with, so far this decade. A
Yeah.
lot of them, a lot talk about, hey man, invest. I get it. It's important. I want to invest. I want to do this, but they never pull the trigger. Like what
Yeah.
truly stops them?
A lot of times it's fear. It's just not knowing what they don't know. I think what I've learned is a really good way to reframe it for realtors. If they have this goal that maybe eventually they'll start investing. I mean, at the end of the day, like if you were a real estate agent, you were a fiduciary for your client, and you know it never felt right for me if I'm going to represent somebody else in the sale of a transaction if I haven't personally done it myself. And being an investor is an exceptional way to be really good at becoming good at negotiating or understanding the costs of when a deal falls through. Because I'll tell you this, man, like if you represent properties for, a seller, like you're a listing agent, right? And you haven't personally experienced listing and selling one of your properties and it going and falling off because of inspection or whatever, and then you have to go back on market. I mean, I would say like dollar for dollar, like anytime that a house goes back on market, you're probably taking 5 to 10 grand less the next time, right? And if you're a high income earner, like that's probably not a huge gut punch or a huge hit, but like for a lot of homeowners, that's a massive percentage of what their net worth is, right?
Yeah.
And I just think there's this big difference between uh, talking from theory versus experience. I think a lot of people love to talk from theory, and frankly, it's usually irrelevant because what actually matters is when you actually experience something. And so I just have always felt like, dude, if I'm going to represent other people in the largest transaction they will ever make in their entire life, for most people, who am I to not have put my money there too? And I've really learned entrepreneurship is just self-improvement in disguise. And the more that I invest in my mindset, my negotiation skills, my sales skills, my ability to stay proactive ahead of problems, how to leverage and use other people to help the system work better, so I have more brains keeping an eye on it, it's only going to make me a better person to represent those people, and keep them actually in a better protected position. Like something I tell a lot of yeah, I mean, as an agent, like, dude, if you just even do one flip, like it's going to completely change your mindset as a listing agent. It really will, because when you have to negotiate with your own money, it's really different. It really shifts, and then it gets you back in your client's head and helps you understand, like, dang, no, I'm playing with these people's livelihoods right here.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone talks about how owning a single family home, being a homeowner, is an asset. And, from a net worth perspective, long term, it can be, but from a cash flow perspective, it's actually a liability. That's why, because I've been an investor and I understand how money works when using it with real estate investing, dude, when I'm talking to first time home buyers, I specifically try to guide them away from buying a single family house unless they're going to rent out the bedrooms. But it's like, if you're young, go house hack, go buy a 2 to 4 unit. You can get it for 3.5 to 5% down, and you can buy your first investment property and live basically mortgage free for as long as you want to live there. Do that 3 times, and then those 3 properties will have built up enough of, either cash flow or net worth, then now you can have the dream house without being house poor and having it being a blessing instead of a curse. But, because I've personally house hacked, like my wife and I sacrificed and we sold the house that she loved at the time, and we moved into a dumpy triplex, fixed it up. We still own that thing to this day, and it pays the most of the majority of our mortgage on our new house, But it's like, I love the saying, do what is hard in life will be easy, and do what is easy in life will be hard, right? Like, so I hope that kind of answers your question. But I mean, I just, I don't know. Like, if you're going to help people make the largest transaction of their life, I feel like you are going to be poised as a much better person to represent them if you've actually put your money on the line.
Do you believe that it's possible to serve investors well without being one yourself?
Yeah, it's actually that's really how I started, man. I started off as a property manager, as an agent, and I helped a lot of other out-of-state investors buy investment properties. And in the process of doing that, I then became an investor myself. And I'll tell you, like most agents end up helping some investor at some point. My challenge is just like do it more because it creates a lot of consistent business when you have the lulls of your residential business. And it also makes you a better negotiator, a better person, because investors are built different than homeowners. They just have a different mindset.
Yeah.
And, like I would say, like, even if you're going to start working with investors, like have them teach you, like, if you get in a real estate investor community, like a RIA, or get on Bigger Pockets and have like just any interest in like learning different wealth creating strategies from using real estate, like it's pretty exciting to learn about, and it really can create an off ramp for you long term, because as
Yeah,
agents, we
dude,
don't
I
really
love
have
it.
a retirement plan. We don't get
No.
retirement. We don't get company stock matches or retirement contribution matches, right? Like, so if you're not intentional, you will get 20 years down the line and have the same production level. And, like, shit, what do I do now? I have to keep selling at 65, 70 years old.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And it's, I think that's why the cloud-based brokerage was such the right move, because now for the first time ever, now you really start to get some avenues to where you can have an off ramp out of this industry, right? So, and why we're seeing so many copycatters and so many, the other companies, and there'll be this will always be the future, right? To where you have other avenues to be able to build. Jordan, say an agent comes up to you today and says, "Hey, I've got 30,000 saved. I want to start. What's my first move?" How do you coach them?
I mean, I would start with like, what does their brokerage business look like? And what are their long-term goals? Like, do they still enjoy selling or not? Because if they hate selling and, like they've realized their heart isn't in it, and they really want to get into flipping houses, or they want to replace that active income with whatever, like, I think there's this limiting belief that you need money to invest in real estate. I will say it 100% makes it easier, and it gives you better leverage if you have money, but you don't need money to invest in real estate. My first property I ever bought was my first real investment property was a brick 5-plex I got for no money down and no payments for the first 2 months, but it was a fire property. And like there are so many like creative ways to get funding for real estate deals that I think this is one of the reasons it's so important for agents to be investor agents, not just agents, because it really helps you to get creative with how to fund real estate transactions and create really creative solutions when you're in a transaction and some crazy thing comes up. And most agents and lenders are trained there's only one way to sell houses, and it's just not true. There's 100 ways, right? So like for that person who's got 30 grand, like I'd probably tell them like, hey, like we need to start building up your cash reserves more. So ideally we need to figure out how we can get seller financing on deals, how to use hard money, how to get a partner that has a lot more money that like you can do, like you can find the deal, you can orchestrate it. And then, they can, you guys can have a 50-50 profit split or whatever. But like, if you don't have a lot of money and a lot of net worth, like sometimes you got to use creative strategies. I would say one thing is definitely make sure that you're bankable. So like that you have either a CPA or a bookkeeper that's keeping track of your P&Ls every month, that your credit's good. So when it comes time for you to start investing in real estate, which for most people, they will use leverage, either from a bank or et cetera, like you want to be bankable so you can qualify for things. So that'd be where I would start, is definitely make sure that your house is in order financially. And then 2, start educating yourself. Like really, like one flip isn't necessarily going to change your life. One rental property won't. What it can do is really shift your mindset into being that owner, building wealth. But, I would even just start with like, okay, let's start with investing in your mindset and your environment. Like do you even have a coach right now? Do you have somebody that has the life that you want to have that is coaching and guiding you? Do you have a guide? Do you have a mentor? Because I would rather you spend that money in making yourself into the person that has, 30 grand coming in a month instead of 30 grand in savings, like,
Yeah.
so, real estate investing can definitely help get you there. But like, if you're in the beginning, like it's really getting a base understanding of the lingo, the understanding of like how to run numbers. And a lot of that's going to come from mentorship. So I would probably first tell them to get a mentor. And, sometimes you can do it without money, but money definitely helps you get it faster,
Mm.
So
I
it's
love that
really
answer.
use the brokerage income as a leverage point for the next things, or the things that are starting to build the deep roots. So.
Yeah, dude, I love that answer. And, using that to become, change your mindset, become a better version of you, but also get in the right rooms, right? Get in with the right mentor, get like with Austin, getting in the rooms with Austin, getting into those things. Well, I mean, it's all belief, right? And it's just like Jordan, I can, say, hey, bro, I can fly. You're gonna be like, get out of here, dude. You can't fly. But then I get up and I start flying around the room. You're like, holy smokes, this dude can fly, right? And that's like when you get into rooms and things that you don't even know is possible, and you start to see it, you're like, oh my gosh, right? And it really just flips a switch. So I love that answer. Like that feels to me like that is the right answer. Is let's take that money, let's invest in you, and let's get you in the right rooms. Then from there, those rooms are going to unlock more opportunities. It's going to unlock, more things in your mind. And yeah, to me, that's like the go fast button is to slow down and get in the right rooms and change the mindset to go fast.
Yeah, man. I mean, I just remember when I got my first fiveplex that was a fire property. I walked a guy that had been a mentor to me, and well, part of it was really just like a couple times I took him out for lunch, like, and I was just trying to soak up. And, I think like criticism only comes from the bottom up. It doesn't come from the top down. It's feedback from the top down. And, when you get around a seasoned investor that's been in the game 40 years, like an old school landlord, and they can see that you're young and hungry and you want to grow, and you're willing to soak up what they have to teach you, like they love giving back. Like when you get to the end game, like it is about other people at that point, truthfully, and you want to give back if you're a giving servant heart type person. And if you just offer to take, an old school guy out to lunch that's been in the game a long time, that 1 to 2 hours is going to change your life. Like it really will. And then from that point, you have a guide or somebody that can give you 10,000 foot view on like, hey, is this a good deal? I walked the guy through it, and it had just been through a fire, was fully condemned. Half the roof had been missing for months, been raining in the building, and I had never done a rehab before. Like that's how psychotic I am. And I walked him through it, and he's like, this is going to be the hardest thing you've ever done, but it's going to become a license to print money if you do this. And so the numbers of that deal, I bought it for $60K, no money down. I then put $70,000 into it, which was all coming from my commission income. And I had never made more than 30, 40 grand a year from a single job that year before. So, I mean, I was putting more money than I had ever dreamed of putting into something. So it's scary, right? But on the back end, I was all into it for 130,000. It appraised for 365. So I did a cash out refinance and got a check for $200,000 tax free because it's debt, that then allowed me to really ramp up, And I probably wouldn't have done it if like I hadn't had a good, honest person to give me that like seal of approval. Like, you're going to be all right. It's going to be hard as hell, but like this will change your life if you can get through this. And it did, dude.
Yeah.
Like I tell people, like go for the crazy projects. Like you have to be willing to risk if you want to build a life of significance. Like real growth comes from adversity and risk. If you don't risk anything, you're just going to stay stagnant.
Yeah. Dude, that's funny you say that. You brought up, I hadn't even thought about this in a long time. I was just thinking about my first flip. Had the hole in the roof, weather had been coming through. And I mean, it had been raining. It had been through several seasons of the year. And just, I was like, and I remember, I did the clean out, I did the tear out myself. We did the, the finishing touches. We did the landscaping, and you're so spot on. Just how that changes. What it does is it gives you, a perspective. It gives you a little bit of empathy, right? When you go through and you do those things to what you said earlier, now like you have a little more patience for buyers, and you have a little more patience for sellers that are actually going through, because you're in the trenches of the thing. And it just gives you a little more patience, a little more understanding, and it's just empathy, right?
Perspective.
And perspective and empathy. So I mean, I couldn't agree with you more, man. Like getting in and doing the thing, just even if you just do it for the perspective of it, not even why you should do it to build, freedom. And that's my whole take, right? There's only one goal in business, and that goal is freedom. And I think having, residential real estate sales is kind of like the cheat code, which is an unfair advantage to opportunities in the marketplace that typical people have no clue. But you've got to get in, you got to go through the thing, you've got to get in, you got to clean out, you got to rip some stuff out, you got to, make the tough decisions, you've got to get in and get dirty, I think, to really truly get that understanding. Jordan, walk us through the machine, right? Like for you guys doing multiple flips a month, you got to have a strong system, a great team. I mean, it is a machine that you go through. You got to find it. You got to make sure, the funding, the financing's there. You got to make sure you got the right teams, making sure that you're finishing out for what the market wants to be able to bring, maximize the investment. What does that machine look like for you guys?
Well, so the machine in total right now is, this last year we did about 100 transactions on the agent side, both on and off market. We consistently average probably 1 to 3 flips a month. And then we have 55 apartments. And then 4 of those are Airbnbs. So we do a lot of different things, which in its own way has its own opportunities, right? Like really the ultimate answer is to stay focused on like one thing, do it exceptionally well. But I don't know, like I've loved doing the other things. And what was I going to say to that? For flips specifically, really like your contractor / project managers are going to be like your make it or break it's. Some good rules of thumb when it comes to looking at rehabs and flips as a deal. One, you have to learn how to find the deals, which can come from multiple different sources, right? Like obviously there is the MLS, and if you become known as like an investor friendly agent or an investor that works with a lot of other agents in town, like that can be a great deal source for you, because when agents get motivated sellers, they don't know how to help them. Like when somebody like needs to sell below market value to get convenience, agents for some reason, because I think it's just the way a lot of us are trained, is that I have to sell it on market for the most amount of money possible. But there's a lot of friction that comes with on-market transactions, right? Like, I mean, you have no idea who your buyer is going to be. And most residential homeowners, especially if you're in the first-time home buyer bracket or first-time investor price bracket, those are some of the hardest people to sell to, because as soon as mom or dad gets involved, or the inspection comes back, or anything comes up on appraisal, or like the wind blows from left to right, like they're going to try to back out or like completely renegotiate, And there are sellers that just, unfortunately, in whatever life circumstances they're in, they might not be in a good place to make good decisions, and they might just need a simple sale, and that's okay, right? Like money is one aspect of this whole business. It's not the only thing. There's a story behind every house. Like every time that I go to talk with like a listing agent, I don't really care about the house specifically. I'm trying to understand the motivation of the seller. Why is the seller selling? What's important to them? Because in a multiple offer situation, that's what's going to get the deal done, not the house. But yeah, so one is then finding the deals, which is, obviously, again, building your name out there with other agents, other investors. Honestly, some of the best deals in my career have come from knowing other investors. Wholesalers are a wonderful way to get deals. But if you're going to buy from wholesalers or do a lot of off-market transactions, you have to be, in my mind, be ready for it, because a lot of those transactions move very fast and very simply. Like if you're buying from a wholesaler, you're putting down most of the time non-refundable earnest money. There's no inspection contingencies at all, and you got to be willing to close quick. like usually in 2 weeks or less. I mean, dude, for me, like I've had closings as fast as 20 hours before. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Like you have to change your mindset, and becoming an investor will open up what you believe is possible in a real estate transaction tremendously. That's why I feel it's so important to do it, because it changes you into an extremely creative problem solver for your clients later. Like that benefits them significantly by doing that. So once you find the deal, it's then like if you find a good deal, you can find the money. So the money is, I think, the piece that most people get hung up on, but it's one of the least important. Really, like if you find a slam dunk deal, like I think of it this way. If you found a $300,000 Lamborghini that you could buy for $10,000 and you didn't have $10,000, you could find the money, right? So it's learning how to run numbers on deals, understanding what is a good deal, what the ARV is, the after repair value, how much money it's going to take to fix it up, or what can you wholesale it for, just list it as is for with just maybe a clean out. And then, you know, like you can find private investors, you can use hard money loans. If you made yourself bankable, you can get lines of credit against your primary residence or maybe some other investment properties you have. You can liquidate stocks. Like this is just like, it's just like reading Rich Dad Poor Dad for the first time, like opening up your mind to what is possible. It's not, I can't afford it. It's how can I afford it? So, but yeah, so, you know, as far as the funding goes, like that's like some pretty good ways. Again, like also you can have equity partners, take some of your commission income and start stacking it back, like, you know, save 3 to 6 months of expenses and you can start putting that towards investment properties if you need to. Austin Chevron just wrote a book called The Money Puzzle. He talks about like putting a certain amount back specifically out of every single commission check towards your investment bucket, you know, so start to build up that account. Even if you put, I don't know, $1,000 out of every commission back, like into its own separate account that then you use to buy investment properties, right? Or towards some type of investment, you know, you got to make the rules that serve your life and that you will actually keep and follow. But yeah, then once you know, get the money part figured out, it's orchestrating the contractors. I can tell you, like one of the first rehabs we ever did, I ignored all the red flags because, again, back to that self-improvement piece, like I avoided conflict. You know, I didn't set myself up for success. I people pleased because I wanted to be liked and seek approval, which is, I think, what a lot of people struggle with, especially in the beginning. And a contractor stole like $25,000 from me in the beginning. And I didn't have a good contract in place. I waited too long to deal with it. And like, there was an immense amount of shame and guilt that came from that. You know, like it was extremely emasculating to go to my wife and say like, dude, like I just have kicked this can down the road. I avoided this problem. And now we lost $25,000 from these people because they were not of integrity. Like, you know, like there was a lot of things that they did that like I should have avoided. And none of that's to scare people, but that's the importance of having good mentors or good community / environments where people are already doing the thing that you want to do, because they'll already have those connections. And, you know, like that's why, you know, not to be on a soapbox, but if you're willing to be an investor agent on the back end, when a crazy inspection response comes back for one of your clients, because you did the work and you built those connections, now you can be that person for your client. You can help solve a problem and keep way more deals together that most people would just let die. Because it's like, oh, this is a $20,000 foundation problem. It's just, you know, the deal's dead. But, you know, because you built resources in a community, you might have that old school landlord that has a masonry contractor that could get that done for $3,500. Because they're out there. It's just, you got to build those connections. And I think that that's actually taking responsibility as a fiduciary, becoming better through experience, and then being able to serve your clients better. But yeah, so it's like learning how to manage contractors, manage all of those things, but it makes you stronger and better in the process. So that's flipping. I mean, we could go into rentals too. I can keep going, but
I want to kind of take us here as we're, you know, looking to wrap up. Let's talk about the RIA.
Yeah.
Almost 4,000 members. How has that community changed your business?
Well, dude, it's the whole reason I got into this business. You know, like I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. realized that I wanted to get into real estate investing. I wanted to start building assets from a cash flow perspective to help start to get me off of the treadmill that my parents had always lived. And, you know, I finally went to I'm sorry, let me step back. So read the book, got on Bigger Pockets. If you're an agent and you don't know what Bigger Pockets is, it's like the Facebook of real estate investing. And I really strongly recommend like going on there because there's just unlimited resources. Like there's books, podcasts, blog forums, YouTube videos, like how to run numbers on rental properties, right? Like there's all those like incredible resources, and it's a community too. But then from that point, then going to a local RIA meeting, eventually you kind of hit this place of what's called analysis paralysis, where you've learned all this stuff, but you're not doing any deals. And getting around local people really will give you a lot of permission to go for it, because just having those local people that are in your market that are doing the damn thing, like it gives you a lot of encouragement. What that group has done for me, like, you know, because I started kind of different than the average agent, I wasn't just a residential broker, like I was also a property manager. It allowed me to brush shoulders and add value to investors in a more like a different way than normal. Like I'm not just helping you find the deal. Like I'm going to help you find it and then we're going to manage it. So it's kind of like all in one, right? And then you can make a commission income off the front end, and then you can make residual income off the back, off of collecting the rent every month. Right. So, but just being in that community really like changed my life, because there's just so many great people in there, so many old school landlords, so many people in the middle, so many people in the beginning like me. And you kind of find your tribe through that, you know, like finding that good community, just like I'm sure with your honey badger community, like there's all different levels of experience, and different people have different things that, you know, they're really all in on it, that they like. You know, some people really love luxury. Some people really love, you know, first-time home buyers. Some people are like listings only, right? And you can find your path. But yeah, now that I run the group, it's just an immense privilege to help inspire people to their greatness in a way that it did for me. You know, like I get to bring, like last month we had Ferris Gosea come in, and he built a $325 million portfolio in 8 years from being a tennis player.
Wow.
You know, like, and I got to have him come in and speak. He spent like 2.5, 3 hours with my group. We had like 150 people there, 120 people, I can't remember. And like those people, like when in their lives do they normally get access to people like that? You know, like
right.
I want to bring in, so like if anybody ever wants to come to our meetups here in Fort Wayne, or we have a Facebook group, it's free, Fort Wayne RIA, Real Estate Investor Association. Like my goal is just to continue to bring in amazing people that can inspire and show what's actually possible, and then like give you the tools to get there, you know? So like, I think a RIA community is a secret hack in the real estate investing world. And basically every market that's a decent sized city should have at least one, if not multiple RIAs.
Yeah, dude, I love that. And when you talk to these other investors, I mean, how many of them run their own RIAs, or is that something like, what does it take to really run one?
Well, I mean, the group that I now run, a guy started, I don't know, probably 10 years ago, and there was another RIA in town, and it was like it was pay to play, and it was very gatekeepy and very like, you know, I don't want to give out it was very scarcity mindseted, I guess, ultimately. Gotcha. And he's like, dude, I just want to be able to hang out with fellow real estate investors, and I want us to be able to grow together, solve problems together, collaborate, you know, kind of operate more from an abundance mentality. And I mean, so there's nothing really to just start one. It's kind of like just starting any community, really, but it's, you know, primarily a focus on real estate investing. I think you can do certain things to make it set up for success. Like, you know, like, hey, we're not here to post on market listings like MLS, you know, Bob and Susie homeowner properties. Like it's for investment properties only, or like multifamily or commercial, right? Like something that's actually relevant to real estate investors. And, you know, I think if you've been in the real estate community for any amount of time, like, and you're halfway good at just asking questions and networking, you can find who the players are in that market. Like if you want to be a real estate investor or work with investors, one of the things you can just do is pull all the cash transactions in the last 12 months off the MLS and see who are the cash buyers, right? Like, because most investors are cash buyers, and they could be using lines of credit, hard money, whatever, or cash. But then you can pay attention, like who are the people that are moving transactions, and then have them come in to speak to your group,
Yeah, I love it. I like I told you from the jump. I mean, you're in this game. To me, this game should be unlocking opportunities to build wealth. That's really like how, and it takes a mindset shift, but it also, getting in the right room, having the right coaches, having the right mentors for that shift to happen. And,
I think
it is. I mean, to me, it's
realtors. I think if they're really honest with themselves, and I'm speaking from experience because I am one too, real estate sales, you own a very high income earning job,
yes.
Until you start either building systems, bringing in people, start building a business, not just a self-employment job, buying rental properties, whatever, like you're still not quite in the ownership bucket. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So key. I do got an AI question for you. How are you using AI with the investment side of things?
Well, I mean, one thing that I do just from a brokerage side, I use Beside, which is an app. So anytime anyone calls me on my personal cell phone, an AI assistant answers, and it can literally like schedule appointments for me, can pre-ask questions, it records and transcripts and give an AI summary of the whole call. So that's been really helpful on the agent side, and it just helps screen a lot of calls for me. Outside of that, like I use AI for like getting some like takes on like if I'm underwriting deals, because I feel like it can give some other perspectives that I wasn't considering before. It's also a good way for having quick and dirty like analysis stuff. If I'm looking at a potential flip, because anytime you're dealing with like wholesalers, as an example, they want to sell that thing as fast as possible. Like you have to think extreme urgency when it comes to wholesalers. That's what like gets you the best deal possible with a wholesaler. And so like, I might just say, hey, pull me like the last 5 comps in this market or in this neighborhood in the last 12 months and compare it to this subject property. And it'll actually give a pretty good comparison, because I've done enough transactions now that, I have a pretty good idea if something's a good deal or a bad deal pretty quickly. And that's really like, if you can get to that, unconscious competence, like it helps you a lot. AI helps like fill in a couple of those gaps. I know that plenty more that I could do, but at the end of the day, like us as realtors and real estate professionals, we already struggle enough with shiny object syndrome. So like, again, it's saying no to things. So when you say yes, it really actually matters.
Yeah. That's a great filter to have. That's for sure. So Jordan, where can people dive deeper with you, learn more about the RIA, and access any of the resources that you have available?
Yes. I mean, I'm easy to find on also. I mean, if you're a realtor and they can't find your phone number, that's probably a problem, right? But I'm on Instagram at Wildman Jordan. Facebook's definitely one of my main things that I still use. So Jordan Wildman, last name's fun. The Fort Wayne RIAs, it's a free community online. You can join. I would say like if you're going to join, like eventually we're going to start doing more virtual stuff because we have a lot of out-of-state investors. But the magic is really being in the room at the monthly meetings if you can ever come out there. I would definitely say check in on Fort Wayne, but Fort Wayne RIA, REIA is our Facebook group. And I mean, I would say eventually, like, I'm probably going to open up into doing some private coaching for people that want to, like, either really grow their realtor business or do more flips, own rental properties. Because, I mean, I've been exposed to a lot, and I've spent a lot of money to be around really big people that think way bigger than me. So, yeah.
I think there's an interesting play for you to where you can be more hands-on in transactions, and instead of getting paid a subscription, being, tied to opportunities, there's something really cool there for you. And I think a lot of people that look up to you as their mentor would love to cut you in on deals for you to kind of hold their hand and navigate through, first few transactions to where you would
Oh, yeah.
add a ton of value, and the value exchange is fair versus just
Right.
a subscription for coaching, So you're definitely in a really cool spot. And listen, guys, like, I'm so adamant about this. Every client I work with, everybody I talk to, we always push on the investment arm side of things. I work with the number one team at, another company up in Canada, and they have a completely separate arm that is investment focused. Only they do hard money. They use AI to invest in stocks, when to get out. Like, that has to be such a critical component. And like you said, man, sometimes it just takes getting in the right rooms, getting around the right people. And I think you would just be a tremendous leader, mentor for a lot of agents out there that have got to get their head around this. And, my biggest takeaway, other than, do the work, right? Get in, do the thing, get your hands dirty, get into the trenches, understand and feel the process, because it just makes you a better human, a better investor, a better leader, just better all the way around to be able to do that. I love that. But man, the biggest thing that you said, right? Like, you're sitting on some money. Like, what do I do, man? Are you the best version of you? Are you in the right rooms? Are you, and like you said, sometimes you got to pay to get in those rooms. And that's where that investment in yourself could really pay off extremely, extremely well.
Yeah, I would say if you've never, like, primarily I think we're talking to realtors here. If you've never done a real self-development seminar, not business related, I'm saying, like, under the hood for you, like, view yourself as an iceberg. Like, there's the little bit of ice above the water that we're consciously talking right now, but almost the majority of everything we do every day is subconsciously decided, the ice below the water. Like, if you've never spent time there, that's where the magic really starts to unlock. And if you got some money sitting around, like, your mind will shift when you actually spend money on a self-development seminar of whatever it is. Like, you're like doing little things like that, actually investing money and time into your real self-growth and your self-worth, etc. Like, it really starts to shift, and you don't get what you want, you attract what you are. And so, like, if you're a broken person on the inside, it's going to be really hard for you to attract healed people in your life, and heal and like wealth, right? If you have a belief that money is the root of all evil, money is just a tool. That's all it is. Like, it is a current that is flowing, that you can go with the current, you can go against it, you can use it for good, or you can use it for evil, right? So which one do you want to use it for? And once you realize that money can be used for good, that actually makes you want to get more of it, so you can make more lasting change and heal other people. Hurt people, healed people can heal people. And I believe, like, we don't own anything. We're all just stewarding it for God's kingdom, and take the faith that serves you and leave what doesn't. But, I believe that ultimately, like, I own a lot of properties and all that, but it's to further something much greater than just me. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Jordan, thank you, man. I got a page of notes myself. I can't thank you enough for really jumping in here and embodying, what this whole Expert Mentor series has been about. 319 episodes deep, and really was born from, Kyle Whistle. Actually, it was Kyle. And he's like, listen, man, we have an amazing community here, Honey Badger Nation, and we have so many incredible, talented, humans that just love to give back. And I can't thank you enough, man, for really embodying really what the whole Expert Mentor movement and series has been about. So thank you again, guys. Make sure you get connected with Jordan. Go follow him. Go check out the Fort Wayne RIA Facebook group, and whatever value you got, connect with Jordan. Let him know. And, don't just listen, guys, take action, implement. That's really what this is about.
Yeah. I would say, like, if you haven't read how to win friends and influence people, Think and Grow Rich, and Rich Dad Poor Dad, like, those are 3 exceptional books to start. Like, if you've never read a self-development book or self-improvement book, like, you're leaving so much money on the table in your business and impact. Like, I'm telling you, the greater you become, the greater your business will become. It's just a byproduct of you. The psychology of the owner is the limiter of the business. So if you're not getting the results you want, it's you. It's not anything else. And that's taking real responsibility. So thank you for your time, brother. Freaking massive love to your community. And yeah, if anybody in your community ever needs help and support on the investing side, I'm happy to jump in and help them too. So
awesome, brother. Appreciate you guys. Thank you. Connect with Jordan, and we'll see you next time. See ya.